Let's have a look at what's in our mailbag this week because we have had Helen on Twitter write in to ask us a question about Maria Sharapova. So thanks, Helen, for getting in touch. Helen says that it was announced this week that Maria Sharapova, along with the Bryan brothers, will be inducted to the Tennis Hall of Fame. In basketball, players with stellar careers who have been associated with performance enhancing drugs or doping are not permitted to join their Hall of Fame equivalent. Therefore, is it right that a player who served a 15-month doping ban should get a spot in the Hall of Fame when clean athletes like Daniel Nestor, who was also nominated this year, have been overlooked for the honour? So very good question there, Helen. Just to sort of clarify, if any listeners had indeed forgotten, Sharapova did serve a 15-month suspension previously in 2016 after testing positive for meldonium, which is a heart medication that can increase stamina. At the time of the positive test, meldonium had just become a new substance on the banned substances list, but prior to that, it was not banned. So she was competing for a long time where it was actually legal. Since this announcement about the Hall of Fame, Sharapova has not been taking part in interviews about it. But I think we have seen quite a few comments on social media, like Helen's, where people are questioning whether this is fair or not. Quite a meaty subject. Chris, I know you're really quite a interested party when it comes to sports doping. So I'm going to ask you your
Yeah, have
thoughts
you looked into the
first.
T's and C's?
Ooh, have I
Have
looked
you
into
have you
them?
eaten the rule book?
Well, I have statistically looked at all of the players who've been nominated previously and whether
Okay.
they were accepted and whether there is any precedent of this. And this is very much the first case where someone who has had and served a ban for doping and has admitted to taking a performance enhancing drug has made it into the Tennis Hall of Fame. So this is unprecedented. I do think it's a great question because for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the reminder that Kim gave, they would have forgotten that Sharapova did have this ban because there's so much surrounding her that is all still so positive, including her involvement in tennis, her companies. And I think that it's very interesting that she has had this honor because other players who have not been or not been got enough votes, you have to get 75% of the vote, have to say that they want you to be in it. Flavia Panetta has not made the cut. Carlos Moya, Anna Ivanovic, Cara Black, Juan Carlos Ferreira, Lisa Raymond. And there are many players who didn't get it and didn't get it on their first attempt. I mean, players like Conchita Martinez didn't get it on her first attempt to be inducted, and neither did I believe it was Conchita and Mary Pierce as well. So it's not a given that you will get this. So the fact that this has happened is quite surprising. It's also a surprise because for the first time, it's not just a ballot slip with career achievements. It's actually a text box which almost exclusively sort of says for those who are voting that Sharapova in no way sought to enhance her performance and cannot be considered an intentional doper. So, I mean, that's quite a strange thing to be attaching to something when it comes to putting yourself in the Tennis Hall of Fame, something that is in many ways the ultimate lifetime achievement in the sport. So very, very strange on that respect. What I would say, from my opinion, is that this shouldn't be the case that this could happen, just from the perspective of doping in sport and the way that we're rewriting history is what concerns me, because of the fact that Sharapova did take a banned substance. It was on the banned list. And also, when it wasn't banned, she took it at 4 times throughout the year during the Grand Slams. And it sought to have potentially increased stamina attached to it, which did line up with the Grand Slam. So there's lots of question marks about that. It
What do you
was,
think, though? Do you think do you like seeing Sharapova in the Tennis Hall of Fame, or do you not like it?
I think it, I would like to forget it happened, but we can't. And for that
Do
reason,
people care? Is
I
what
think
I would say.
I
Like,
think the integrity of sport is what comes into question here, unfortunately. And whether you believe the case
mm,
being the fact that her doctor recommended it and she did just miss the thing. And I personally think that it was a mistake that she didn't stop taking it. But at the same time, she was taking it and she did take it. So
In her, in support of her, when it wasn't a banned substance when she did take it for the most part.
yes,
So she wasn't doing anything illegal
nothing
when she
wrong
won
prior
those
to that.
mm.
slams. But
Correct.
whether it's morally right, I don't think so.
I think
It's
everyone
never
is
morally
pushing the
right to take
boundaries
that.
in fairness to Sharapova, and if it's legal, it's legal. But
Yeah.
I mean, will there be a mark on other people's record in the future when it comes to being inducted to the Hall of Fame? Because opening the doors, I'm not sure I'm in favor of that. But do I think her career achievements warrant it? Yes, I think they do. Of course they do.
Yeah. That's
It
what
reminds me
yeah.
a bit of the is it in cycling? Was it Bradley Wiggins taking the sort of
Mm,
The
medication
jiffy
for
bag.
asthma?
Yeah.
And it's sort of a
yes.
medically exempt thing. But it's like, well,
I
but
mean,
does he actually have asthma? You know,
I mean, not many
I
people
sort of
who
put it in
can
that
go up a hill
category.
like that are able to
Yeah.
do that with asthma. So I think that one answers that question. But
Mm.
still, that wasn't illegal, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I do
Mm.
think that the question marks about the integrity of sport, unless it's fully answered, and it is proven beyond, there's no fault whatsoever, and this was no considerable fault once again. I do think that you shouldn't be celebrated. You don't need to have this as well. You can't have everything if you have been found to have doped. Is my view personally. I do love Sharapova, but I just think this is just not right.
I think she does have a legacy though to the beyond just her on court antics. She is one of the most recognizable and famous names that's come out of tennis in the last, in this century. And I think that alone puts her in the category that would be a really good contender for the Hall of Fame. But yeah, there is a mini question mark for
Yeah, and
me.
the only thing that I haven't really mentioned is that she does have a long-standing relationship with the ITHF. That's it, International Tennis Hall of Fame, because they did have a partnership in 2014 for her Sugarpova candy. And that was quite a lucrative partnership. And when all her other sponsors or all her other big sponsors actually suspended or dropped Sharapova after her failed drugs test, the Tennis Hall of Fame actually didn't in any way drop anything around that.
Interesting.
So I do think there are those things that aren't necessarily great. They declined to comment at the time. So it does just make me think that they've always supported her, kind of irrespective of what has been happening, even when Nike didn't. And this is obviously something that is supposed to be a high level of like esteem attached to it. So I guess that's my issue with it. But Joel,
let me have the final. Yeah.
yes,
let me have the final say. I think, personally, to me, I think based on her achievements, and that happened like very much at the end, almost going into retirement. I think it's right to see her based on her career and her achievements that she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I totally understand in terms of like there's certainly some question marks there, and it's definitely a delicate issue. But I would also say, like, as I say, like, I always think with some of these things, like the Hall of Fame, I think a lot of fans out there might be like, who cares? Like, this is some sort of membership that is a recognition of how you've done, like, across your lifespan in tennis, I guess. But as I say, I feel like trophies, slams, titles, rankings, that's what matters. And this is more of a sort of a cursory glance towards that.
Well, thanks, Helen, for your question. That's certainly put our minds to work
divided
there.
us, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.